Okay. Okay, here we go. So we have I think Rosalind has been a regular on our Living Fit channel, Women to the Power of 10, and always with something new for us and some special guests that are appearing with the symphony, local celebrities, I would like to say. So I'm going to just introduce Rosalind first, in case you don't know about Rosalind. Rosalind has says that music has always been an enjoyable part of her life from the time she saw her dad revel in an opportunity to listen to live and recorded works. His delight was infectious. She sang in several choirs during her youth, her teacher training, and beyond. After she retired from teaching at the elementary level, she gathered the courage to return to piano lessons and also learn to play the viola. All this has led to a close involvement with the North Bay Symphony as a board member and now as president, a journey of learning that continues. Wow, that it takes courage to start learning an instrument. You know, when you get on, I tried a couple of times, but it wasn't successful like you, Rosalind.
Well, I think
our special guest today is Erin, and her mom is representing her, is Erin Brophey. Erin Brophey shares the joy of music making with audiences across Canada, most notably in her current position as Principal Oboe of the Saskatoon Symphony Orchestra. Erin is profoundly grateful to make music and hopes that your live experience of music gives you chills and thrills. The waves of shared emotion are why she makes music. So I'm going to stop there and introduce the proud mama, and that's Karen. And you can take it away, Rosalind.
Thank you very much. And I'm very, very happy to be here to see you all again and reconnect. That's super. And I was delighted when Karen said she would come with us today and be with us today. So that's extra special. And I got a special treat from Erin last night, which I will share as we go on during the morning. But I'm going to take a little step back because what Erin is playing requires a string ensemble to play with her. So I'm going to play just a snippet of our last concert with the string section. And I'm going to play it because, as you know, you've met Calvin Cheng, our concert master who sends stuff. He will play for you a little bit as well after this, but I want you to see him, if you haven't seen him already, see him in the position of concert master. So I'm just going to show a little snippet of this, just as a little reminder, in case you weren't there at the last concert. So I'm going to share my screen, if you don't mind, and share my sound, and share, and I'm going to pull this up, and here we go.
Beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so you can see, you saw Calvin then as concert master, you could see how he was moving and he's breathing at the same time. Now I'd just like to show what Calvin sent us about this concert.
Hi, I'm Calvin, concertmaster of the North Bay Symphony. I'm really excited about our concert on the 15th of April because we're going to play Dvorak's Symphony No. 8. And I'm going to play the beginning of the third movement. And this beginning is one of my all-time favorite moments in all of music. Here it is.
Oh, there's Calvin.
Beautiful.
So please come out to our concert on the 15th of April, if you can. Hi, I'm
So it really is quite special, isn't it? Does anybody have any questions at this point or any comments they want to make? Or
It's it's a comment, and I just love watching him play, because his whole body is playing music. You know, his face, and you could just see how passionate he is. It just makes me smile. I love it.
and could you hear the breathing? Did you notice the breathing in that? Breathing is that, as we've talked about at other times, is a huge part of the playing, because a lot of the movement to play comes from your actual stomach, from your core.
Oh,
And so breathing is so important. And how he breathes, if you noticed when I pulled the core up, you could then see them all breathing together, how they move together, but they're breathing together. They're taking the cue of breathing from Calvin. So, you know, I don't know whether we'll have time to watch that again, but you will see that in the group when they're going. Well, you know, with Erin coming, breathing is a huge part of her instrument. So a live orchestra is a living, breathing thing. And that's why when it's in person, it's so exciting. But anyway, yes, question. Yeah.
okay.
Can you put your unmute yourself?
Sorry, Rosalind. When you're listening to the orchestra, does each instrument, do they breathe at a different time, or is it kind of written into the music?
It's not written into the music, it's a feeling. It's a feeling of keeping a tempo. If Calvin breathes in slowly before he starts, that gives the tempo. It also comes from the conductor, but if he breathes in slowly and you know that you're on a downstroke, you know what kind of a stroke to play. His breathing gives a clue as to the kind of bowing that is going to be played. So if you do watch him, you will be able to see that. You'll see, oh, I can anticipate how this music is going to sound. Is it going to sound a little staccato?
Are you sure?
Yes. And so it's yeah, it's a part of it. Yeah. So anyway, so that's Calvin. We could always come back to it if we have any time and see a little bit more of the last concert, which was super at St. Andrews. But you know, now let's move on to Erin, because breathing is a huge part of being in an orchestra, and Erin will know that more than any of us. and Calvin, of course, because they're top professionals in that area. But I want to share a little story, first of all, because I knew Erin from when before she was in high school, because her daughter, she and my daughter were really, really good friends when they were growing up in school, and they were both avid musicians. They've gone, Erin's gone into professional music. My daughter went into medicine, but you know, it's they had this passion together. But as regular teenagers, they used to have sleepovers here and there. And Carol told me this little story that has been vetted by Erin to say that when they had these sleepovers and a few of them together, then Erin would always disappear for an hour and a half to go and practice. even at these little teenage get-togethers. So you can see Erin's passion right from the beginning. However, we have Karen here. And if anyone knows Erin, it's Karen. So I'm going to hand it over to Karen because I'm sure she has something to tell us. Karen.
Thank you for sharing that, Rosalind. And yeah, you captured that quite accurately in Erin's commitment and passion. She surprised us, honestly. We're a musical family. My parents, I came from a musical family, so there's always been the presence of music in our lives, and classical music as well. Erin will tell you that I cleaned house to classical music, and that was her first introduction to classical music. But we played all sorts of different types of music. Erin decided she had started in piano. It wasn't her passion, so she said, "Mom, I'd like to play another instrument." And she spoke to her music teacher at the time, and he said, "Okay, well, let's get you started on a clarinet." So she played that for about a year and a half, and she came back to her teacher and said, Monsieur Robideau, I'd like something a little more challenging. And that's Erin in a nutshell. Anything more challenging, she's going to take on. So he thought, well, let's give you a challenge then. And he suggested the oboe. Erin didn't even know what it looked like. But she said, okay. I don't know if she knew the sound of it even at that point in time. So she decided, yes, an oboe would do it. But there wasn't one at the school available. They didn't. It was more of, I'm going to use the word specialized. It probably wouldn't be in an elementary school library of instruments. So she had to rent one. So she decided that she would use her babysitting money and she would rent an oboe. Now, when she received that oboe, finally in the mail, it was the first time she'd ever even seen one. She was quite excited and she absolutely fell in love with it. I don't know why, because the first sounds that came out of that instrument were anything but pleasing. The oboe, as you will hear, is really a distinctive and distinct musical sound. Probably all the years of listening to it is the reason why I can pick it out quite quickly in a symphony. But I'll leave you to discern that when you see this concert. Now, Erin won do you remember when, I don't know if we still do, but Kiwanis had music festivals in the spring here in North Bay. And Erin won one, and her prize for her category was a week at the provincial music camp just outside of Parry Sound. And that absolutely set her on her path. She attended that camp as a camper. She went as she grew older and more skilled. She became a faculty assistant and finally a faculty at that camp. And she looked forward to it every year. Wow. As a teen, she worked at Mark's Work Warehouse so she could save enough money to buy her own oboe. That was her dream, to own her own oboe. That musical instrument never left her side and still never leaves her side. She travels all over with it, no matter where she is. She takes her oboe with her. When she was first starting to play, we had a family trip to Florida. And I think we had all kind of tapped out to listening to this oboe sound. And we thought maybe we should have a 10-day reprieve. So Erin, it was not allowed to bring her oboe. Well, unbeknownst to me, she snuck it in her suitcase, brought it to Florida with her. Now, I don't know if she thought maybe I wouldn't notice that she was playing her oboe or wouldn't hear it or whatever. But yeah, we certainly got over that. And she did. She took it on sleepovers with her. She brings it to Ontario every time she travels here. Even when she's traveling just home for a vacation, she comes for about a week and a half in August, and her oboe comes with her, and every day she practices. I am amazed at the commitment this woman has to her music and to her craft. She teaches at the university in Saskatchewan. Yesterday, she was teaching some teachers who are in Teachers College how to teach the oboe to their students. So it's just amazing what she has accomplished in this career. And I'm delighted that she's coming back to North Bay to play with the symphony where she cut her teeth. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Does anybody have any little things for Karen? Does anybody remember Erin from when she was growing up? Did anybody know her? Maybe not. We would just yes, Harriet?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Okay. Does anyone have any other stories? Does anybody know Erin when she was growing up?
I think I remember her from Mark's Work Warehouse. I don't know. Her face looks familiar to me. But the other thing is, I don't know what an oboe is either. So.
Well, Karen, you did. You captured Erin there, as I as I knew you would. And so Erin is our guest soloist for this next concert, and we're so happy to have her. And of course, as soon as we asked her, we got an affirmative answer, because she likes to come home as well as to play. And I know my daughter is just thrilled that they might be able to spend a little time together. So Erin's that kind of person. Everyone wants to spend time with Erin, but Erin now I'm going to have something from Erin, and she's going to talk about her piece that she is playing. Now, remember, it's with a string ensemble behind her, but this is Erin. So I'm going to share my screen, and this is Erin talking about her piece. See if I can make it just a little bigger. Oh, there we go.
Hello, music lovers in North Bay, Ontario. My name is Erin Brophey, and I am the principal oboe player of the Saskatoon Symphony, and originally from North Bay, Ontario. Now, my mom called me, and she asked me to make a video about the music that I'm going to be performing in April with the North Bay Symphony, and asked me to describe some of the music. So I'm going to talk today about a concerto written by Ralph Vaughan Williams, who is a British composer. Now, the word concerto, that means that one instrument stands in front of the orchestra as a soloist. So this is an oboe, and if it's an oboe concerto, then I am the soloist that stands in front of the orchestra. Now, there's a couple of ways to think about a concerto, but something I find really interesting is to think of the soloist representing the singular voice or the individual. And the orchestra kind of represents society or the collective. And I think it's very interesting to sit in the audience and consider what the composer was trying to say, or what insights the composer may be trying to share with an audience member, or something that may occur to you because of this interaction between the individual and the collective. This particular concerto that I'm playing by Ralph Vaughan Williams was written during the Second World War, and he was a British composer, and so he was in the thick of it during the war. Now, in the face of war, I mean, this is what humans do. We make war, but we also make art. And for me, this is very meaningful to think that in a very dark time, that humans still find the space and the creativity to make beautiful things. And so when I'm playing this concerto, I'm really considering the beauty that Ralph Vaughan Williams is trying to represent. And when I hear this piece, I can't help but think of the beautiful British landscape. Thinking of cliffs and green fields overlooking the ocean, with shorebirds and wind in the hair. And I think that, I think that's what Ralph Vaughan Williams was trying to evoke, was this feeling of pastoral beauty. In the face of something happening that's so violent, we often go back to nature. And especially for those in North Bay, Ontario, nature is so important to us. That's why we lived there. Well, why I used to live there and why my parents still do. It's just such a beautiful place. And I think that's the connection point that audiences in North Bay can make to this piece, is a real connection to nature. It's in 3 movements, this piece, so it's 3 different sort of moods. And the first movement is called a rondo pastoral. And what that means is pastoral is another word for outside or connection to nature. And so I thought I'd just play just like the opening of the concerto, just so you can hear sort of the landscape. Again, thinking that there are this lush green sound of strings behind me. And then there's this beautiful oboe line. Isn't that beautiful? Gosh, I love playing this. I'm very excited to perform in April. The concert is April 15th. It's at the Capitol Center. I'm excited to see all of my old friends from North Bay and to spend some time with my lovely family. And I hope you'll come out to the concert and enjoy the experience of creativity in the face of things that we can't change, but can create in spite of. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you there. Hello, music lovers.
That was beautiful. Oh boy.
So that is Erin. And, she can speak, we can speak for her, can't we, Karen? And being very, very proud of her.
Absolutely.
But Erin can speak for herself very eloquently. And the passion for her music comes out. So I hope you will come and see Erin there and see her play. So it was very nice of her to send that video to me last night, and so we could share it with you. So Erin performs. Yes, she is the principal oboist with the Saskatoon, but as Karen mentioned, she's also a teacher, and this is what she says about her teaching. Learning the oboe can and should be fun. I use music instruction to help a student understand how they specifically learn. This can have a lifelong impact, no matter the subject. The discipline of daily, and she has that in uppercase letters, and consistent practice leads to rewarding results. I take great joy in adapting my teaching methods to suit the students' goals. Each person learns a little differently and at their own rate. I really enjoy watching a unique brain learn. I find it fascinating. I learn so much from teaching students. And, that is someone who is, willing to share her talent with new learners. She doesn't expect them, and she goes on to say other things, but she doesn't expect them to all become professional musicians, because she feels that she is preparing them for life when she does music, because the discipline of doing music and the learning that goes with it along the way means that it sets you up for anything in life. And so she really, that's what she seems to encourage in her students. But I'm sure she's very proud of the ones that do go on to be able to perform. Now, you've kind of heard, you've heard from me a little bit. You've heard lots from Karen. That was lovely. And you've heard a little bit from Erin. But you know what? Erin also has some things on YouTube. Is it YouTube or whatever? Yes.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen some. I'd just like to share a little snippet. I'm going to share again. And share. And I have to move something. Oops. And so here she is.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Music. Now I'm here to talk to you today about this instrument and a little bit about how music works. And the first thing I'd like to start with is something called vibration. Now vibration is how we create music or create sound. And a game that I like to play when I'm talking to students is, how do I make my instrument vibrate? So I'm going to ask some questions, and then I'm going to demonstrate some things that can work to make a vibration. So often I'll ask people, how do I make my instrument vibrate? And someone might say, well, you hit it like a percussion instrument. I have to say that does not sound like music at all. Some people suggest that perhaps I need to blow into my instrument. I mean, the oboe is a wind instrument, of course, so maybe I should blow. So let me blow into it and let's see if that makes a sound. Well, that sounded a lot like wind, but not necessarily music. What I need is to create a vibration. And in order to do that on the oboe, I have something really special. It's this thing. This is called a reed. Now, this is a special kind of reed. It's a double reed, and it is what I blow against in order to create vibration. Let me show you. So that is a vibration now, but it doesn't sound a lot like music, does it? So I need to put this reed into the oboe in order to create music. And when I do so, this is what it sounds like. And that is the beautiful oboe. Now this reed that I told you about, it's a double reed, and I'm gonna guess that some people watching this video have actually played a double reed before. Now hang on, you probably don't believe me, but the oboe reed is made of a grass. In fact, it's made of a grass called bamboo. This is a rondus donax. It's a piece of bamboo that you might see in bamboo furniture, or is the thing that it makes really soft clothes and sheets. And I take this piece of grass and I make it into a reed. Now, back to you playing a double reed. How does that work? Well, when I was a kid, I would sometimes sit in a field on a sunny day.
Gotta get out of that. So you heard Erin there. So, Erin is talking about, you know, the reed and the instrument there. And she has other videos that I could share with you, but I could send the links to Harriet for you to look at. She has a wonderful video of how she makes her reeds. And it takes her 3 or 4 days to make a reed, working on it gradually. And from that cane, she has to shave it down until it's thinner than a hair. And so if you want to watch that video, you'll find it very interesting. She has a whole room in her house dedicated to making reeds. And you can see how she shows us, when you see that, she's made thousands of them. And part of playing the instrument and being a professional is being able to make a reed that actually makes a good sound. And in that video, she shows you a reed that she bought to a reed that she makes. And it's a very, very different sound. So it's not just playing the instrument, it's caring for the instrument that is so important, as any musician would tell you. A lot of the work goes into actually looking after the instrument and checking on it and seeing that it's healthy and seeing that it's not damaged. Well, her reeds are all handmade. You can buy them, but hers, I'm sure, Karen, you can attest to that, they're all hand. And Karen, what did she do when she was young? What did she do with her reeds? Did she buy? Did she make her own reeds?
She initially bought reeds, but as she became more skilled, her teachers that she would also pay for lessons from teachers out of town, she'd go to them, reinforced with her how important it was that she make her own reed, and introduced her to that skill or that craft. And I might say, you're right, it takes so long to make one reed, and you can go through up to 3 reeds in a performance. So one of the biggest components of her work, aside from practicing and perfecting her actual musical skill, is making reeds. It's so time consuming.
Now, did she do that at home? Did she have a special room at home or a special place? Did she just make them in her own bedroom, or how did she do it?
Well, you know, making a reed and shaving those bamboo pieces is not very tidy, and I'm a bit of a clean freak. So I have to admit, we relegated a spot for her in the basement where I didn't care what kind of a mess was down there, and she was sort of in charge of it, but we had a setup downstairs for her.
You know what, it's really fascinating because you could see her passion, I mean, for wanting to do that.
Oh,
but
yes.
But not only that, it's just like, I'm wondering, you know, it's the creativity of human beings is just incredible, because whoever thought of an instrument like that?
Really?
You know, and who would ever think, I mean, how did they ever come to figure out they needed a wreath, you know, to make it work properly? I don't know. Like, it's amazing. And that she fell in love with it, that's really even more amazing. Go ahead, Debbie.
I just wanted to know, maybe Rosalind could maybe answer this question for me. So I'm just going to think of, let's say, maybe a high school orchestra. Why is there maybe only 1 or 2 oboes and, like, you know, 20 clarinets? Is it harder to play, or are they more expensive to buy for the school?
Karen, I'm handing that one over to you.
If you talk to Erin, asked Erin that question, she would say definitely the oboe is much harder to play. It's all about balance and balance of sound in an orchestra, and depending on the particular piece that they're playing and where the emphasis in the music is. So typically violins, you'll notice that there are many violins in any string orchestra, right? And again, it's the collective sound that determines the number of instruments and what instruments you have for any given piece.
There's a
And
comment.
they are very expensive. And it takes so much time to maintain them, the instrument itself, as well as create reeds. So it's a real dedication.
There's a comment from Anna Olmsted. I had the very good fortune to attend 1 week at the Ontario Youth Music Camp in Beaverton, Ontario, as a teenager. I played the euphonium. I don't even know what that is, and learned more in that week than during the whole year of music classes.
No doubt.
Well, that's wonderful, Anna. Yeah, it's those things. It's again that collective learning. That's so exciting, isn't it? And I mean, you have to practice by yourself, but it's being with others. It's that is just so special. And I'm going to just personally for myself, just the little level that I am, the first time I played in a large group was like, oh my goodness, this is surround sound. And I felt totally engulfed in the sound and totally part of this thing that moved. It's a very special feeling. It's a very special feeling. And these musicians can't wait. In fact, tomorrow night, because it's March break, they were going to take a break from rehearsals, but no, they decided they wanted a rehearsal anyway. So they're having a rehearsal just because an extra one, just because they want one. They love being together and creating together. So, yeah.
I imagine the sound, if you're in the orchestra itself, must be just incredible.
It's very unbalanced because you're close to different people, and yet you have to hear it as a whole. But it is you can feel the vibrations, especially if you're sitting near the trumpets, or it depends, or the double basses. You can actually feel the vibrations kind of in the floor coming through with their connection. So it's that breathing, it's the vibrations, it's the just being immersed in it. When we do it on Jamkazam, on our electronic platform, you can adjust which sound comes in which ear by manipulating the things on the screen. And then the only way to do it, to make it feel, is I usually have the double basses, to my left ear and the cellos, and I have the violins in my right ear. So that's how I have to put it in my headset, just so that I hear it the same way that I would, normally. And I'm sure it goes for all the brass and woodwind. You get used to where you're sitting and what sound you're getting. It's really fascinating. Any more questions? No? Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us a little more about the upcoming performance?
I will tell you about the upcoming performance. Yes, it is April the 15th. And it is at 7:30 in the evening. If you have a subscription ticket, great, come on out. We would love to see you all there. But there are adult tickets, student tickets if you're bringing one of those grandchildren. And of course, children under 10 and under are free if they come with an adult. But so this is really a spring concert, and it really ushers in spring. And there's Erin playing her Vaughan Williams concerto for the oboe and strings. And then the orchestra is playing Dvorak's Symphony No. 8, which is his spring one. So it really, again, evokes all the pastoral season, the lovely greenness of fields, the newness. And there is one piece that is from a Canadian poser that is a very lively one, that's kind of like, we're celebrating all this and dancing there. So there's quite a big range of music there. It will be a full orchestra for the Dvorak. So there will be everything, talking about, how many, our personnel manager and our music director have this little code that they do, and they go 4, 2, 2, 6, and they automatically know exactly how many of instruments they're talking about that we need to have for a certain piece. Anyway, so it's 7:30, April the 15th at the Capitol Centre. If you would like tickets, I suggest you either go online to the Capitol Centre and buy online if you're used to doing that, or just call the Capitol Centre and you can, get your tickets through them and pick them up, or pick them up on the night of the concert. So you've heard from us all. We're excited about it. We'll hope to see some of you there. And thank you.
All right, thank you. Any more questions? I was going to ask you, do you have some musicians coming from out of town for this one, or is it all local?
We always need new musicians from out of town. Yes, especially when we're doing a full orchestra. So this time, I can't remember quite how many we have. It's probably something like 12 or 13 coming from out of town. So they fill out our brass and woodwind and our string section. Yes, and we always need that now, and we do billet. We do billet them. So it's and some of them, the billet, they enjoy going to the same billets. I'll have 2 billets. It's great fun.
Wonderful. So what's can you give us kind of a range of the ages of the or would you describe the orchestra as intergenerational?
Oh, definitely.
I'm just curious.
We have some coming who are still maybe doing their masters in performance of music, so they're probably early 20s. And then we have someone who's 83 in the music playing. And yes, it's completely intergenerational. And not this particular concert, but we often do have ones in that are 16 and 17 years old. We have younger students in too, who are at a level generally playing the violin that can manage it. So,
Wow.
and we have next year, we have just had some people who are coming to do their teacher training here, musicians as well, and they're going to come into the orchestra. So it's kind of it's a mix of everybody.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So Janet, there's Janet. Sorry, Janet. Sorry, Rosalind. Is Janet still playing in the orchestra?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Just hang on a minute. Just hang on. I'd like to bring up this again, and I'll just show you because Karen's proud of stuff, so am I proud of stuff. Okay, so you can see here. So this is Janet back here.
right. That's what I thought. Yeah.
She's playing, and you saw Calvin. This is my daughter right here, and I'll have to move. This is my son-in-law back here playing double bass.
Ah.
So
Who is that?
Mark Swain.
Ah, yes.
Yes. So he's been playing in the orchestra a long time. And Josh, our new conductor, and I'm very fortunate. Every week he comes down, and he stays with me overnight because he comes down from Timmins. So we get to do lots of chatting, and he's just a great guy.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of humor too.
A great sense of humor. A great sense of humor. Anyway, what I will do is I'll just finish with another minute of this. Is that okay?
Sure, go ahead.
And you can see them breathing together there.
Yeah.
And there you can see them breathing together. The whole body is. And Calvin has smaller movements when he wants a smaller bow. Bigger movements when he wants a bigger bow.
You might also notice the movement of the bodies themselves. And Erin comes home after a concert exhausted because of the amount of physical expenditure that happens during performance. It's pretty wonderful.
Wow. Just amazing.
Rosalind, what is the difference between the function that the conductor fulfills and the function that Calvin fulfills within the orchestra?
What a good question. Thank you for asking that. Yeah.
I thought it was one and the same, but obviously not.
No, it's something the same. They are still doing conducting. What Josh is doing, he is setting the tempo. He is indicating the musicality. He is indicating which group has to come out, and where he's indicating to the musicians where the main melody is and pulling them out, because you can see him doing this and leaning to them. Calvin is much more doing, indicating the bowing and how he wants the bowing to sound. Does he want the bowing to be short? Does he want it to be all up bows? In other words, he's going to be going up. If he wants them to do a long down bow, he's indicating whether it's a legato bow, a staccato bow. He's just indicating how it should be. As we saw, his movements get smaller when he wants them to do a shorter bow. So he's more with the strings and setting the musicality there. And often during rehearsal, Josh will say to Calvin, Calvin, you just play that, because he wants them to have the time to see him play it, to see the kind of bowing that he wants. And it's for all of them. And then they will know, because they've all, although they're looking at the music and they're looking at the conductor, they're also got Calvin in their eye as well, because they have got to, but they more feel Calvin. That's why they all move, because they almost have to feel him, because they can't see everything all at the same time. So it's, yeah, there are two separate jobs. Now, there are times when we've had just a chamber orchestra of strings, and then Calvin will be the leader. He will be basically the conductor and the leader and the concert master at the same time. But that's because it's been in rehearsals, and he's done that. Very good question.
Thank you very much.
It's funny, you know, I didn't even think of that until you pointed out about the breathing, and I could see them moving together, but I didn't see that before. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's all these little intricacies, that it's just really awesome. It's just beautiful.
It is beautiful. And Erin, as Karen said, tell us more. I know time's running out here, sorry. But Karen, you know, kind of finishing with you. So Erin's tired at the end of the performance, and you say, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's the, as I related, the physical expenditure of playing, and you can see that. And I love these events because you see how complex a production is and how it involves absolutely every individual and the expenditure of energy. Everybody is moving, concentrating on the music, watching the conductor, listening to people around them. And so it's just a tremendous amount of input that's coming out, to say nothing of the outgo, right? That you're expending. And she's now typically, when she was younger, they would go out and have a brew and kind of let their hair down after a concert. But she doesn't do that as much anymore, just because life has gotten busier and more complicated. But yeah, it's a very physical job, and I would have never realized that without Erin's exposure and information for me. It's quite an education.
Wonderful.
It is. So thank you for letting us be here, Harriet. And thank you
Very
for
much.
Erin coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I thank Erin too for sending us her video, and see you on the 15th of April.
Yeah, and I just want to say, listen, the thank you is going to you and Erin and Karen, because of these opportunities we've had on Zoom, we get to have some real insight into what is actually going on, and more appreciation for what's happening. You know, like what is it? There's a Volunteer Canada slogan, the value of one, the power of many. The value of one, the power of many. That's what I think about when I see the symphony, and all the good things we can do as human beings. You know, as Erin pointed out, you know, we're capable of war, but we're also capable of doing wonderful, wonderful things to make us feel alive and well. So I hope to be there.
Good. Good.
Yes, I hope to have both eyes on the symphony on that day.
You'll be seeing them clearly.
As I drive myself, that would be great. I hope. Anyway, so thank you so much. And I'm going to just